This week on the Canadian Tech Podcast, Loblaws has unveiled a Amazon Prime type service, Google lays down the law on ticket resale sites, CBC shows us how easy it is to hack Canadian cell phone networks, and more Canadians are shopping online. That's all next and more on the Canadian Tech Podcast. The Canadian Tech Podcast is sponsored by Olio Digital Labs. Olio are the planners, designers, and developers of the apps used by some of Canada's biggest brands. Find out what Olio can do for you at oliodigitallabs.com. And we're also sponsored by CodeShip, continuous integration and delivery software that lets you ship your apps with confidence. Both CodeShip Basic and CodeShip Pro come with a free plan that grants 100 builds per month, unlimited projects, and unlimited users. Visit codeship.com today to find out which CodeShip product is right for you.
Welcome to the Canadian Tech Podcast, episode 141 for Monday, November 7th, 2017. Sponsored by Olio Digital Labs and CodeShip. My name is Stuart Clark.
And my name is...
What's
still Derek Silva.
Excellent. Well, that's good to know. We have other places trying to copy our names of our podcast. Let's not copy the hosts. Although I don't think our respective partners would appreciate if there was two of us each.
Probably not.
Probably not. So, okay. So, yeah, we're recording on a Monday night. We were both really, really busy. I had a week from, shall we say, hell last week. Total weirdness. If I went through it, we'd run out of time for any of the stories, so I'm not going to. So we're just going to plow right ahead here with some of our quick picks, Derek.
Loblaws is taking a page out of Amazon's playbook by launching the PC Insiders program, which I thought they kind of already had. But this is different. So PC Insiders now is a $99 a year or $9.99 per month program. Does this sound familiar? Where members get tons of perks in the PC Plus loyalty account, which is the... oh, no, that's not rebranded yet. That will be rebranded in February to PC Optimum. But anyway, PC Plus loyalty account. So basically, you have to have a President's Choice Financial MasterCard. Mm-hmm. Which I guess would be a Simply Financial MasterCard soon. And
no, they are keeping that.
Oh, okay.
He's keeping the MasterCard, just the debit stuff.
Okay, so you need a PC Financial MasterCard and a PC Plus loyalty account. Mm-hmm. What does this get you? Well, this gets you perks at beautyboutique.ca, which is from Shoppers Drug Mart, Joe Fresh online and in store, online deliveries through Click and Collect, from almost 200 stores across Canada.
Except the one closest to you.
Except that one. 20% back in PC points on essentials. 20% back in PC points on all Joe Fresh products in store and online. 20 times the PC points when you shop online at beautyboutique.ca. Free click and collect at nearly 200 locations. So it's not actually delivery yet, I don't think. It's click and collect.
No, still click and collect.
Which would save you $3 at off-peak times and $5 at on-peak times. Free shipping for Joe Fresh Beauty Boutique purchases. And $99 PC travel credit once a year when booking through pctravel.ca. However, only for people who have bought the yearly subscription. So basically, You can get that $99 back if you book a trip through pctravel.ca, which I didn't even know existed. So
there you go.
We'll see how this all goes. I know this is supposed to be the quick hits, but Stuart, hot take, are you interested?
No, I'm not there's bound to be customers that actually do that. Shopping a lot at Shoppers, Drug Mart, at Beauty Boutique, or at Joe Fresh and stuff like that. So, yeah, I don't think I'd be able to justify the price. But, there's peoples out there, especially young families and that probably could. I'm assuming they've done some, research on this and figure there's going to be.
And
this
if
is, of course,
if you do click and collect during on-peak times... not 12. 12 is only $60. So that's what? 18 times you get your money back. 18 times in a year. So that could be worth it. Yeah. But then you'd have to get everything else on top.
Yeah. So there's, they're definitely going after a certain. Now, this is, of course, after they closed 22 stores.
Yes, I know
so
you're
they're
bitter,
really-
but that's not the tech angle.
I know. I'm not bitter, really. But yeah, they're definitely trying to move more with a digital presence. So yeah, again, they're still going to have their existing points program. So this is like an extra one. This is like PC Points Enhanced or
Yeah.
PC Points version 2.
Well, it's a rebrand. It's not a rebrand.
Sparkles.
It's a redo of the PC Insiders program, because that used to be like get a magazine and stuff like that. Anyway, moving on. According to FedEx, the FedEx Online Shopping Intention Survey, say that 5 times fast, after surveying nearly 1,500 randomly selected Canadian adults, we found out that 65% of those people surveyed said they plan to do some or all of their holiday shopping online this season. That's up 10 points from 55% last year. And 6% of Canadian shoppers said they plan to shop online for the first time this year.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to assume that's mostly super young people and elderly people, for the most
Careful how
part.
you say that last one. Yeah, exactly.
I said elderly.
Very good. All right, that's good. No, now for someone who's in neither of those, in case she's listening, my mom actually used Amazon for the first time last year.
Cool.
She did. I didn't even know she did it until she actually did it, and it arrived, and I didn't even know about it until she mentioned it to me one day.
That's neat.
So yeah, so there you go. That's good.
Lastly, I'll say 74% of online shoppers said they plan to start shopping before Cyber Monday, like me. I'm almost done, man. I've got like 3 gifts left to buy, and I'm done.
Wait. How can you have that? I haven't given you my list yet.
Yeah, about that.
Okay. Hey.
I don't know how to break this to you,
Damn
but I'm going to spend that money on my kids instead.
That's all right. I'd rather you do that.
And 87% said they were going to do their online shopping from home. 76 said they will do it on a laptop or desktop computer over a phone or tablet. I don't blame them at all, because shopping on a smaller device is still not a great experience.
Pain in the ass, yeah, exactly.
Done there. So we talked last week about Rogers asking for an extension on their December 1st deadline to come into compliance with the wireless code of conduct. Lo and behold, magically, what a coincidence, right after Rogers said that, and we said, hey, TELUS and Bell and Videotron and Wind, or not Wind, Freedom, aren't asking for this. TELUS went ahead and asked for an extension as well, because apparently, despite their, quote, best efforts, it will be, quote, impossible for it to implement the necessary changes to its bill management system in order to become compliant with the wireless code of conduct.
It's amazing how they didn't mention that before Rogers, eh?
Yep, somebody had to be first, and Rogers was first. And TELUS went trotting in after them, saying, "Ooh, us too." Yeah.
Let's try and think of let's try and think of another company that might actually do that. Let's just take a second. Let's see here.
You're having too much fun with the sound effect.
I am. So what are the odds that we're going to hear from Bell or someone else?
I was just going to say, I bet you $5 that Bell says something either tomorrow or Wednesday.
There you go.
Right before the deadline.
We'll see what happens.
We will see what happens.
All righty.
So you may have heard recently in the media that there was a now very rich Canadian guy from Montreal, I think, who was making a ton of money by buying concert tickets and sports game tickets en masse via bots and reselling them on places like SeatGeek. Or not SeatGeek, StubHub, I think, was named specifically, and a few other secondary sites. Mm-hmm. Well, Google has decided they have had enough, and they are going to put a ton of restrictions on ticket resale companies to help prevent them from scamming you and I from out of our money. So sites like Viagogo, StubHub, and others who claim to be official vendors, even though they're actually selling secondhand tickets, they're all going to be affected. Google's also going to disallow or penalize people who register domains like artistnametickets.com, so LennyKravitzTickets.com and FooFightersTickets.net and places like that, or venue name tickets, so BudweiserGardens.ca or Budweiser Gardens Tickets.
Stadium Show tickets.
BudweiserGardensTickets.com or Air Canada Centre Tickets.ca or Saddle Dome Tickets. Whatever.
It's a good idea.
It is a good idea. So, moreover, they're going to make those states, they're going to work with those sites to make sure that they state that their ticket prices are likely higher than the face value and provide a full breakdown of prices. And they're also going to have to be certified by Google before they can use the AdWords service.
Yep.
I get it. As a consumer, I'm really happy with this. As a open internet type person, this feels very gatekeepery. And
yeah, but as we've already seen, sometimes, alas, not everyone on the internet is out there for bunnies and unicorns.
I agree. And, like, ultimately,
One
I'm
guy
not going
ruins it
to.
for all of us.
I'm not going to email Google and be like, "You shouldn't do this." I'm not, because it's ultimately it's their platform. They can decide what gets listed, right? But yes, like it still feels very much like, no, these are our rules, and you have to play by our rules to get listed on our search engine. And ultimately, that is their prerogative. I understand, but
they can always
that's
go
the
and
sort
get
of thing, though, that a lot of
another search engine.
That's the sort of thing, though, that a lot of other people.
Yep.
Well, they just don't appreciate it, no matter where it's coming from.
Yeah, exactly. They can go get listed.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Lastly,
maybe. I think AltaVista is around.
No, AltaVista redirects to excite.com.
Okay.
Or ask.com. One or the
Ask,
other.
that's right. Okay, last but least.
Ask,
I distracted you there, I'm sorry.
The City of Toronto is partnering with Waze to help improve the city's traffic awareness and management. There are roughly 560,000 active users of Waze in Toronto. Those users input traffic, collision, and congestion data actively or passively, which of course is then processed and transmitted to everybody else in the area so they can all benefit from it. Toronto is going to be getting this data to help enhance their information for planning and figuring out where the issues are and where to obviously spend their money in the future in terms of fighting traffic. It's the war on traffic, and this is the latest salvo in it.
Well, you know what? Now, we were talking about this pre-show, so I guess this is a little bit more than what Google does with Google Traffic, because people could actually report an accident.
Yes, and actually Google Traffic
Google
Maps has actually been including Waze data. I don't know how consistently, but including Waze data in Google Maps as well.
Okay.
But yeah, so you can't report a speed trap in Google Maps, but you can in Waze.
Right. Okay. Well, that's good to know.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's
all. That's all the quick hits. That's fit to print. And I'm saying fit to print in light of a bunch of newspapers closing today in Ontario.
Positive thoughts, Stuart. Positive thoughts.
Positive thoughts. I'm trying, man. It's difficult.
Amazon's going to hire everybody anyway, so it's fine.
Great. All right. Well, you know what? Speaking of positive thoughts, let's talk about a positive company, namely our good friends at Olio Digital Labs.
Everywhere we go, they're within an arm's reach. They make us more productive, help us stay connected, and even entertain us. And every day they're helping organizations across Canada build a better tomorrow. At Olio Digital Labs, we are the planners, the designers, the builders of the custom web and mobile applications that are enabling small and medium-sized organizations across southwestern Ontario, empowering some of Canada's largest brands. Large or small, organizations across Canada count on our focused development process to produce affordable, scalable mobile applications that can help fuel their futures. So whether developing a rock-solid e-commerce platform for an ambitious small market, developing a complex system integration for a national enterprise, or helping an organization of any size navigate application design and user experience, accessibility, and security compliance, we are your complete web and mobile production team. We are the experts to plan, design, build, and maintain your project. Find out what Olio Digital Labs can do for you by giving us a call or visiting us on the web at oliodigitallabs.com. Olio Digital Labs, code that powers every day.
And we'd like to thank Olio for continuing to sponsor the Canadian Tech Podcast.
Alrighty. Moving on to our topics. Our big story of the week, and I think you'd almost, in the tech world, you'd have to be under a rock if you hadn't heard about this. Uber revealed that they got hacked in 2016. So that's annoying enough that they waited a year before telling us, the public. But also they apparently tried to bribe, or they paid $100,000 to keep the information private. Well, that really didn't work out for them, did it? So this is 57 million Uber accounts could be vulnerable. So was the hack happened a year ago, was released on Tuesday in a blog post from the fairly new CEO, who I'm sure there was some language coming from that office. Now, I can't pronounce his last name. Do you have a good pronunciation?
I think I actually do as soon as I find it.
That's all right. On about 3 paragraphs in our link. So they were saying
I didn't open up that one. Sorry.
Okay.
I didn't open up that link. I only had the one about the NDP open.
Right. Okay. So we'll cover that in a second. So anyway, at the time, affected drivers weren't notified. Neither were regulators or police. According to Bloomberg, the company paid $100,000 to keep the information private. 2 people who've worked on the response, of course, have been fired. One's former chief security officer, Joe Sullivan, and one of his deputies. Information included Uber's riders' email addresses, phone numbers, and names, and the name and license numbers of about 600,000 drivers. Now, the company said U.S. drivers. The company said riders don't need to take action, but drivers can check if they've been affected by reaching out to the company. Apparently, they're saying...
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was going to say, the new CEO's name is Dara Khosrowshahi.
Thank you.
Khosrowshahi.
He's having a bad day no matter what.
And he looks like a badass.
There you go. Yeah, he's probably kicking butts and taking names.
Yeah, he looks like
sounds like he already is. Yeah. So basically, they're monitoring both riders and drivers' accounts for fraudulent activity. They've hired a cybersecurity firm to access the company's security teams and guide them going forward. And he's basically saying, none of this should have happened. I will not make excuses for it. I can't erase the past. I can comment on behalf of every Uber employee that will learn from our mistakes. This is another thing from the previous CEO. Uber's had to resign after a lot of different controversy there, a lot of sexual harassment complaints, stuff like that. Now, in Canada, because Uber hasn't said how many Canadians were affected, the federal NTP is calling on the privacy commissioner to open a formal investigation because they want to ask Uber how this happened and how many Canadians. And at the moment, Uber's saying, well, they're not able to confirm the number of impacted Canadian customers. Now, part of this, of course, is political, but I think this is a good idea that the NDP is doing. What do you think?
Yes. I mean, I'm not sure. Because, and the only reason I say that is because there's 6 or 7 U.S. states, the FCC, probably the FTC, and all these other American organizations who are already going to do the same thing.
Mm-hmm. And other countries.
And a bunch of other countries, like the UK and probably Australia and God knows who else. So, should we get in on it? Sure, I guess. I mean, at that point... Why? If it's just to find out how many Canadians were impacted, okay, sure, go ahead, but just figure that out. There are already a dozen other jurisdictions and organizations who want to do a deep dive and figure out what happened and make sure it doesn't happen again. Well, then I don't know if it's worth the Privacy Commissioner's office spending a ton of their time and resources doing that when we already have other issues that are ongoing and an ongoing threat to privacy, like vulnerable Facebook or social media sites and that sort of thing, that could cause a much larger issue in the long run. So,
but don't you think in some ways though, because again, we mentioned here in the story, there's a lot of privacy kits. They want the government to implement mandatory breach reporting, because we had similar issues with Equifax. They were hacked, in May, lasted until the middle of July, and they didn't announce it till September.
We can do but we can enact legislation like that without the Privacy Commissioner spending a bunch of time and money, investigating Uber specifically. That's a no-brainer to me. I don't think we need another investigation into another company in order to figure out that that's a good idea. So, with stiff penalties for companies that don't comply.
Right. Well, it's got to be stiff penalties. Do you think this is really a major blow to Uber as a company?
Well, nothing else has knocked them off their pedestal yet overall. Right. So no, I don't think so. I would say the issues they're having operating in the UK period is a much bigger problem for them. I mean, ultimately, you need to assume that everybody's data was breached.
Right.
Right? And I used Uber literally twice ever, both times while in Toronto. So I'm not personally concerned because that credit card is long gone. I'm not a driver, obviously, so they don't have driver's license or insurance information or anything like that. And the password I used at the time to create that account is long gone. So personally, I'm not worried at this point. Okay, you have my Gmail address. Well, the whole world has my Gmail address.
Exactly.
So that's not a big deal. So I'm not personally concerned. Ultimately, if you have been an Uber customer in the last 7 years or 8 years since they've been operating in Canada, legally or not, you should assume your account has been compromised, and therefore you should go reset the password and do anything else you feel like you need to do in these sorts of situations. Simple as that.
Right.
But I don't feel adding Canadian authorities on top of the US, the UK, the Australian, and the Philippines on top is going to reveal anything significant that those other 4 jurisdictions are going to discover. So I'd rather just use our time and money elsewhere. That's all.
Right. Okay. No, like I said, good point there. All right, let's move on.
Assume the worst.
Assume the worst. Expect the best.
And assume the position.
All right, let's talk about net neutrality. It's a big thing happening in the U.S. right now. The Trump administration wants to undo some of the previous Obama administration's laws. Basically, as Canadians, should we care? And I'm going to let you start with this because we had a discussion prior to going on air. So we should talk a little bit about net neutrality. I think most people know what it is. Basically, what it is if an ISP or a company, let's say you're with an ISP that's owned by Amazon. Well, they can't prioritize Amazon's traffic over anyone else. That's the idea behind net neutrality. So again, if you're on like a internet provider by AT&T, they can't purposely slow down Netflix.
Yeah.
And that's basically the idea. And that's the way it's worked since it really the internet started. So what's happening is some ISPs, especially the ones that are like AT&T, Comcast, Verizon, stuff like that, they sometimes want to say, well, no, we see a profit opportunity. We want to be able to have tiers of service. So if you're using our video service, it doesn't count towards your cap, or if you're using our email service, it doesn't count, or it's through quicker. And then they might also say, well, for example, Comcast, if they have their own TV show, let's say a TV show that competed with something from Netflix, instead for Comcast to slow down someone's internet when we're watching Netflix. So apparently, they're going to vote on to rescinding the net neutrality rules at the next FCC meeting, which is on December 14th. The FCC say the rules discourage investments that could provide even better and online access for the rich. Oh, sorry, did I say that? That last little bit. So now we talked about, there's places in Europe and that do this already, but it's more, and you were showing me some of the stuff out of Portugal, it's more based on cell phone plans, right?
Yes, and ultimately, I was just looking again. You can get cell phone plans from that same carrier that they're highlighting here in the global story, and a lot of people have been using as an example of the implications of a lack of net neutrality. That same carrier has plans that are essentially unlimited. Voice and SMS within Portugal, unlimited or a lot for a reasonable price. And then just straight up 500 megs of data or a gig of data or 30 gigs of data for, again, a reasonable rate, at least for us. I know they make less there. the whole smart net thing that people are highlighting is actually unlimited access to those particular services.
Right.
So
we should keep that in mind. But
yeah, so is this an example of the sort of thing that can happen? Yes, you could end up in a situation where Rogers or Videotron or down south T-Mobile want to give you a social package and give you unlimited data on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, Facebook Messenger, Tumblr, that's an interesting one, LinkedIn and Pinterest for €5 a month right now, and 1 month free. So,
but again, we don't see that. You don't see that on the fixed internet plans in Portugal. It's just on the mobile.
It's only on the mobile. Yes, exactly. Yeah. So you and I went to 3 different websites. Thankfully, I can read these just fine, and you use Google Translate and got some funny results. Home internet or business internet from Mau, Noj, and Vodafone. Actually, Vodafone, that's a bad example, but Vodafone didn't have any social or email packages or anything like that. It was just data. Mau and Noj both as an option. The home internet services, completely unlimited, 100 megabits up and down for like €24 a month. Right. So it's not happening on the wireline service at home. Mm-hmm. It's only happening at one carrier as an option, as one way to use their mobile internet service at one carrier. It's not the standard. It's not the only offering.
Right. So they're throwing up a little bit of a red herring, but I think it's still a concern because, for example, for us in Canada, there's a lot of traffic that gets routed through U.S. sites.
And so that would be an issue, but I think it would be less of an issue there because ultimately, I think the biggest or the hardest hit area would be the last mile, right? AT&T, Verizon, Comcast, they are Frontier. They would want to, they want to bill you as the consumer extra $5 a month or what have you for accessing Netflix on your home internet service plan. Not necessarily the backbone networks, because the backbone networks, yes, I know Netflix and YouTube account for a lot of that, but that, I don't know, you might see it there too, but I don't think it would impact us as much, especially when Netflix has been doing deals with Canadian carriers or Canadian ISPs to actually co-locate servers in like Rogers data centers and places like that. So, and ultimately Amazon has Canadian data centers as well. So Netflix could spin up some Canadian servers or Canadian located servers and do that. And I'm sure they can afford it. So I don't know. I feel like it's yes, it could impact us. Certainly not nearly as much as it would impact the average American consumer at home.
Right, because I think
should we care? Yeah, because we all have family and friends or most of us have family and friends that are American, and we don't want to see them go down this route. But I'm also not writing to Chuck Schumer and saying, as a Canadian citizen, I feel like blah blah blah. This is something that they have to work out.
Chuck will go Derek who?
Yeah, exactly. Actually, I've written Chuck Schumer, and he's actually written me back. But
oh wow, okay. Well, no, and the thing with me is, I just know we've seen the behavior of some of these American companies, unlike the European companies. In Europe, they generally are a little bit more civilized in how they're doing this, and I wouldn't put anything past any of the big telecoms down there. That's my main concern there. So
we did see issues with Netflix a while ago, especially with Comcast and Verizon. They ultimately worked that out, and I think everybody was actually happier in the end because the ISP customers actually benefited from better interconnects with Netflix in the end, but not without some strife in the meantime.
Yeah, exactly.
I do remember that.
Yep. Okay, let's move on to our next story. This is a exposure by the CBC. Some of it's alarmist.
This was freaking terrifying, though.
Oh, I know it is. But basically, what they did was they worked with a couple of MPs. One from Quebec and from Quebec. Sorry, my apologies.
Yeah, Matthew Dubé.
Yeah, Matthew Dubé from the NDP from Quebec. So what they did was they arranged to give him a new phone. So they didn't use his existing phone.
That's good. I didn't know that part.
Yeah, no, yeah, they mentioned it. Yeah, they mentioned it in here. They gave him a brand new phone with a brand new number. So they wouldn't do the existing one. But basically, it was able to get pretty well hacked fairly quickly. Now, Dubé's the vice chair of the House and Commons Standing Committee on Public Safety and National Security. So he went to the mall, picked up a new phone for the experiment. The CBC agreed not to use his current work phone to protect the privacy of these phone calls. So the new phone number was given to a team of white hat hackers, ethical hacker, based in Berlin. And it didn't take long for them to access his calls. So they were able to record a conversation between his office on Parliament Hill and a Radio Canada colleague who was sitting in a cafe in Berlin. Next, it was a conversation between the MP and his assistant. They were able to track the geolocation data from the phone, painting a picture of his whereabouts.
Yep.
They were basically, when he got back and the CBC team got back to Canada, they played it for the MP and they're showing a map. And he said, yeah, it's exactly what I did that day. Now, this is a phone on the Rogers network, but they've also run tests with phones on Bell and stuff like that. So this is a result of a technology called SS7. Signaling system number 7.
Yeah.
So it's the way cell phone networks around the world communicate with one another. So that's way you can, if you're down in the States and you're on a Comcast network, this is how, Rogers knows how much to bill you. The problem is hackers can gain access to it, and I guess it's not very secure. Attacks have been known to, add, delete content, change content. So one of the examples, the ethical hacker said they could set up a person's cell phone voicemail so that all messages went directly to a third party, and they'd never know the messages were missing. So it's one of those things where, it's the idea is technology is designed to make things a good, phone network, good experience, but it lacks any kind of security. Department of Homeland Security posted something in April about this. And they're saying there's tens of thousands of entry points worldwide, many of which are controlled by countries or organizations that support terrorism or espionage. A lot of companies, primarily in Europe, we're talking about Europe again, have beefed up their defenses. And apparently Canada has a little bit to go.
Yeah, we've only Karsten Knoll, who was the expert or the rep from the security company in Berlin. He said that both companies have only done about 10% of what they can do to beef up the security. And of course, Rogers and Bell were both like, no, we're doing everything we can. We're working super hard on this. Bell, we work with international industry groups such as the GSMA and to identify and address emerging security risks, including those relating to SS7. Okay, but there's, the guy who hacked into your network said you can, or hacked the phone on your network said you're only doing about 10% of what you can and should be doing. So where's that other 90%, and where's it going to be happening? I don't want any of this 2-line BS that Rogers and Bell are laying down, especially since I've been a customer of both, and I'm a customer of Bell now. So what the heck? Like this is not okay. This is way too easy to exploit. And therefore Bell, I don't care if I got to pay an extra $3 or $4 a month. Bell needs to do everything they can at this point to beef up their security, because this is way too easy. This is like leaving the front door open and expecting nobody to come in.
Exactly. We may be in Canada, but, we still have to play it safe. So, all right. Now moving on to another scary thing. This is a short film. This is rather, if you haven't seen the film, it's rather frightening. So this is a Future of Life Institute. So they released a short film. Now, this institute talks about, warning about too much technology and stuff like that. But they released a short film showing a dystopian future with killer drones powered by artificial intelligence. So basically, this looks like a product demo. And the short starts with a rep from a defense contractor advertising his company's newest product, a palm-sized explosive-filled drone with an artificial intelligence implant that allows it to find, target, and kill people with a precise detonation to the head. Yeah, and it
Just
goes from there
straight for the head.
because what happens is the drones are then shown to fall into the wrong hands and wreak havoc on innocent people all around the world. So the Future Life is a Boston-based nonprofit dedicated to showing the dangers of advanced artificial intelligence. This institute's actually backed by Elon Musk, Stephen Hawking, and other skeptics. This coincided with the UN had a convention on certain conventional weapons, where it's going to discuss autonomous weapons. It's worth watching this because it'll make you think. This technology's here already. It may not be as smooth, but when you watch this, you're going to go, holy beep, basically. We're already here. Like, you've already, the military is already developing drone swarms and stuff like that. And, all it takes is a coding error because, programmers never make mistakes, right, Derek?
No, of course not. And I'm just wondering now, is this going to be the premise for Horrible Bosses 3? Yo, man, I got this Slaughter-bot off eBay, and it's freaking awesome. Like, I'm just gonna set it up and, put the facial recognition for my boss, and we're going to go to town. And we have a new Hollywood blockbuster on our hands.
There you go.
You're welcome for the idea. I agree this is a problem we need to head off at the pass. I've been following the news about the letter that a bunch of AI researchers put out, including a bunch of Canadian ones, about the having to stop the proliferation of AI-driven killing machines, essentially, before they start. Of course, the U.S., Russia, and China have all shown signs of interest in unmanned weapon systems, and you can make the case that it should always be a person making that final decision. I would tend to agree, as much as I'd prefer not to have to make that decision in general, but whether to shoot or not. But so I get it. I don't know if I'll have a chance to watch Slaughter Bots, but I understand the premise. I understand the perspective. I can get behind it. But whether or not the UN Convention on certain conventional weapons as a whole decides to take action or to allow this technology to proliferate, I guess we'll find out relatively soon. But personally, I would hope they err on the side of caution.
Right.
And just be like, this is probably a bad idea. This is how Skynet probably starts.
Exactly. Okay, let's turn now to something a little bit more fun. Let's talk about our good friends at CodeShip. Well,
CodeShip is a really great group of people who are putting together a software as a service, so hosted, online, delivered continuous integration and delivery solution that lets you ship your apps with massive amounts of confidence. You can choose between CodeShip Basic or CodeShip Pro. CodeShip Basic is a simple testing and deployment service with pre-installed CI dependencies that works right out of the box, making your average setup time less than 3 minutes. Or you can try CodeShip Pro. CodeShip Pro is a fully customizable continuous integration and delivery service with native Docker support. It is much easier to use than Jenkins or Travis. It makes it easy to test and deploy your microservices. You can push to any registry. It's perfect if you want to deploy with Kubernetes. It comes with a convenient local CLI tool that lets you run your builds locally. It helps encrypt your environment variables to protect those from hackers. And guarantees 100% parity between your development and production environments. So both CodeShip Basic and Pro come with a free plan that grants 100 builds per month, unlimited projects, unlimited users. We all know open source projects are always free on CodeShip, which is great. So visit codeship.com today or check out codeship.com/features to find out which CodeShip product is the best fit for you.
And we'd like to thank CodeShip for their ongoing support of the podcast. All right, and now we're moving back on to our stuff we like. So mine it's been out for a while. It's an app from Google, but I discovered it last week. It's called Google PhotoScan. So it's a really cool little app for both Google Play and at the App Store. Sorry, Windows Phone users. Sorry, BlackBerry users.
No, you're not.
No, not really. And they know it. So this allows you to take, all those old, you remember, you may not remember this, Derek, but in the old days, people had photos on real paper.
I do remember that. Thank you very much. I still have photos on paper.
There you go. So, but you want to get those into your computer so you can back them up, or you want to share them or whatever. But if you've ever noticed, if you try and take a photo of a photo, you usually get glare and stuff like that. Well, this is really nice. This is a great little app. What it does is it scans the photo, and then it figures out from the glare it sees. It'll then ask you to point the camera into 4 circles that it shows you on the screen near the corner of the photo. So it's almost like a VR sort of. So you basically point the camera, it takes another picture, and then it combines them all. So in the end, the glare isn't there. And then it immediately saves it up to your Google Photos account, where you can, of course, grab it from there and share it and all that. So,
nice.
Yeah, I played around with it a little bit on a few things, and it works quite well. The other thing that's nice, I like about it, is if I'm taking pictures for, let's say, something on Kijiji, it used to be a pain to take some pictures because, again, you'd have the glare if it was like a shrink wrap box.
Mm-hmm.
So, again, you can use that. Take a picture of the box and eliminates the glare. It's fairly quick, because, again, it's certainly quicker than those old school photo scanners where you put one in and then it takes 20 seconds as it slowly scans. Seriously. This is a lot quicker. I can belt out one in probably like less than 10 seconds. And then, you can just do batches and then immediately upload them from your phone up to Google Photos. So nice. It's a very cool app. It's one of those ones, you may not use it all the time, but it's certainly handy. Because we've got some old photos I'd like to get scanned. Everyone does, and this would certainly do quick and easy for things like that, or almost anything. If you've got a glare and something you're trying to take, like a shiny box, as I said, it'll get rid of that for you. So we've got the link in the show notes, and then that takes you to the photo scan by Google Photos site, and then there's links there for the Android and Apple options, and that's mine. What's yours, sir?
Mine is my recently acquired Google Home.
Yes, you had fun on Black Friday.
I did. Well, it's technically Thursday, but yes.
All right.
So it's still on sale for $99 Canadian, and my wife brought it up, and I went, "Yeah, I'm gonna buy one. It's $80 off. Why not?" So, yeah, I got a Google Home, just the normal white on top, gray on the bottom, none of the funky colors, because that wasn't an option at Home Depot, which was fine. I don't need the gold base or anything like that. Gray actually goes quite nice with my kitchen.
Decor.
The countertop in the kitchen.
Okay.
So, works great. You can say "Hey G word" or "Okay G word," so that's kind of nice. So you don't always have to say "Okay." You can say "Hey" instead, which I appreciate.
Now we should note Derek records downstairs in the basement, so I already checked with him to see if it was down there. So
it's not.
Apparently,
if I say "Okay G word,"
it will affect everyone else.
If I say "Okay G word," yes, I will affect your device potentially and my phone, which is right beside me.
Exactly. So we're trying to be nice.
Yeah. So I'm gonna I've got Google Play Music hooked up, and so I could just say, "Okay, you know what? Play some Lenny Kravitz," and it does that, or play some Bruno Mars, and it'll just start cycling through Bruno Mars songs, which is really, really cool. There are a few radio stations that I know of that I like, or like playlists, and so I'll say play that, and it typically does. It's not perfect, but that normally works. I see iHeartRadio is available on here as well. I haven't tried that, but I guess I could try some radio stations.
See if we can play the Canadian Tech Podcast.
That'll probably work because we are listed on Google Play Music. One really nice thing, and I knew they were working on this, I just didn't know how well it would work, was that they've worked really hard on understanding kids' voices. So my 8-year-old actually works it just fine. He's like, "Hey, G word, play. I can make your hands clap."
Cool.
The song's only called Hand Clap or Hands Clap, but Google figures it out and starts playing the song. Nice. And so he starts dancing around the room, and you can set the volume remotely a couple different ways, like set the volume to 3 out of 10, and you just need to say 3, or set the volume to like 40%. It works either way. the range on the microphones is pretty incredible. I was down. You've been to my house, right?
Yep. Yep.
So there's the kitchen. There's that small counter all by itself.
Yep.
Underneath the big clock. So I was downstairs in the living room by the TV, and I yelled up at it and asked it to do something. Heard me perfect. Did exactly what I asked it to do. I'm like, wow, that's actually really impressive. Awesome. Same thing from upstairs in the bedroom. Like, I'll just poke my head out and be like, hey, do this, and it does it. So yeah, it's working really, really well. It's not perfect. I picked a radio station in Google Play Music on my phone and casted it to the device, and I found that after about 10 or 15 songs, things weren't quite synced up anymore between the app and the Google Home. So that was a little odd, but that's a software fix.
Now, have you tried some of the Easter eggs? Like, have you told it to open the pod bay doors?
I did. And it said something along the lines of, I'm afraid I can't do that, but there is a spare key underneath or behind the palm tree or something like that. You can let yourself in. Yeah. The flower pot. Yeah. You can let yourself in. And I was like, oh, okay.
So they have a few fun.
So they took the creepy part out.
Yeah, they have a few fun ones, exactly.
Yeah.
You know what? Here's one you can try when your wife and kids aren't there. I wonder if because you said you talked about adjusting the volume. Mm-hmm. How about Google? Can you make the volume go to 11? From Spinal Tap.
Well, I did say I did. So I put some music on earlier, and because nobody else was home, I could swear, and I said, "Hey, G word, turn that S word up." And it worked. I was like, yes. So if you're in that sort of mood, like, hey, turn that S up, it works. It works just fine.
Actually, guess what? I just looked it up, and that if you say that, if you go hey G word, it'll actually. If you say 11, it'll turn it to the max.
Oh, there you go.
So
it's pretty loud. Like,
yeah, they did put it in.
6 or 7 out of 10, at least in my house, is quite loud. Like, you are not able to hold a conversation anymore at that level. Right. So the speakers are pretty good. The microphones are really good. I'm very happy with the $99 I spent so far. So far so good. Like I said, a few little oddities here and there, but nothing that can't be overcome by just disconnecting and reconnecting or something like that.
You know what? And it makes it very much easier for those 15 intelligence agencies to keep an eye on it. Just saying.
Sure, Nick McRae. Sure.
There you go. All right. What are we up to lately? Man, oh man. I had an absolutely crazy, weird week last week. I'm not even going to go into it. It's just, I have 1 week a month that I call my crazy week, and this didn't help that the car died. And then about 28 other crazy things happened. So yeah. So I got the car back. I am going to be starting some seasonal work at the LCBO. That's the liquor store in Ontario. Mm-hmm. And before anyone asks, because everyone does, I don't get a staff discount. Sorry.
That's some BS right there, man.
I tell you, I got to keep it
even
for
if
myself.
It was like 5%, that'd be nice.
Oh, I know, but they, as I said, it's probably to prevent me from buying, 28 cases and then selling it on the street corner.
Whatever.
Probably. I know.
Then they could track it against your employee ID or something.
Oh, that'd be kind of cool, So
on a blockchain.
I see you bought 48 cases of Crown Royal this week. And you bought another 48 cases.
I think we got to cut you off at this point, Stuart.
Exactly. So no, I start some staff training, but yeah, I'll be there for some weekend work. I'm actually looking forward to it. I've always liked retail. And it kind of pays the bills.
That's one of the best paying retail jobs you'll ever have. That's for sure.
It is. They're a good company to work. Hey, I know some products well.
This is a lovely beer. Come over here.
This is a lovely
Scotch whiskey.
It's not like that domestic crap. Yeah. I'll be the hoity-toity of the beer aisle. Great.
It's not like the domestic Canadian Scotch whiskey.
No, domestic Canadian beer from the big breweries, microbrews for the win.
Yeah.
So I'll be doing that, and there's some other, just generally busy stuff. But yeah, just crazy time of year. And what about you?
Pumping out lots of proposals and quotes at Olio. It seems like an end of year type thing where people are like, "Oh, I got money to spend." or, oh, we got to get this RFP out and the budget finally got approved or something like that.
Yep.
So doing all that, getting down to the wire, the contest we've been supporting, put on by the Ministry of Education, I think, and Brookfield Institute at Ryerson. That ends on Thursday night at midnight. So supporting some folks there and making sure they got their issues dealt with, they can deploy their apps and all that. Keeping tabs on some cryptocurrency investments I've been, making lately. So basically, I took a couple $100 and I bought some Ether, and then I've been spreading that around a little bit. So to give you some idea of like the crazy growth there's been in that area lately, $50 10 days ago of Ether is now worth $62.
Right.
That's not huge dollar wise, but percentage, $12 on 50. That's really something. The Zcash I keep mining keeps growing up in value as well. I bought $50 worth of Aragon network tokens. That's worth 57 now. I bought $50 worth of Status network tokens. That's worth 57. If anybody follows me on Twitter, you might have seen my tweet about the ETH Lend ICO. I spent 50 there, and so I've got original $50 dollars left in Ether left. That's going to be going towards a I guess it's still called an ICO, but it's a token sale for the Bloom network. I'm buying Bloom tokens on, I think I'm in on Wednesday because I'm part of the whitelist.
Right.
So, so it's exciting. What came in as 200 is worth about 230 now, thereabouts. So again, percentage-wise, that's quite significant. That's 15% in like 10 days. Will this continue? I have no idea, but that's why I only put $200 in because I'm not willing to lose my shirt over as the bad cryptocurrency podcast I just started listening to, as they call it, magical internet money. So they're actually quite bullish on the market, but of course, I mean, all money is magical money because we got rid of the gold standard. So, so that's where we're at right now with that, and to top it all off, not even close. I should top it all off with everything else I got going on, but we're in the middle of budget season in Middlesex Centre, so we already approved frozen water rates for 2018, which is nice. So they're not going up, and trying to figure out the rest of the budget situation. We're in a much better position than in London, which is nice.
Yes.
The 3 point whatever percent London's looking at increase right now. On top of assessment growth, we are looking much below that. It should be 199 at the most. Hoping for like a 196, 197 once we figure out from MPAC how many new properties came online this year. So,
So good stuff. All right. Well, as usual, we had some extra stories that we didn't get a chance to cover, so definitely check those out in Noteworthy News. Don't forget to.
I want to highlight the first two. So the Blue Wave Get review from Mobile Syrup, that's actually a kind of like a Bluetooth speaker from a Quebec-based company. So that's cool. And then IBM is recommending to the province of British Columbia that they use blockchain technology, specifically, I think that would be Hyperledger that they're part of, to track the entire cannabis industry out there. So that's a really interesting article if you're into marijuana or blockchain.
Cool.
Or both.
Or both. There we go. Both.
Which I think is a pretty big intersection at this point.
That's the worst that could happen. Really. All righty. On that note, we better leave before we get another intelligence agency follow-up.
Sure. Somebody mentioned marijuana. Start listening in.
Somebody mentioned marijuana.
Listen to their publicly available podcast.
There you go. So don't forget to review us on that podcast at iTunes, Google Play, TuneIn, Spreaker, Stitcher, Player FM.
Actually, we should say it's really just iTunes. The more iTunes ratings, the better, because for whatever reason, nobody else really does a rating system. It's pretty much all iTunes.
But we really appreciate when you do that.
Listen wherever you like. But if you have an iTunes account, please give us 4 or ideally
stars.
5 stars so
All
that
those
more
stars,
people
right.
listen. Yeah, the more stars, the better. More stars, less problems.
Yeah. And retweet us because we have an account on Twitter. We also have a page on Facebook. Do the normal share and like, or even go old school and tell a friend. You can also send us an email at contact@canadiantechpodcast.ca to let us know what you think. Right. Any last minute things?
Nope, I'm good.
For episode 141 for Monday, November 27th, 2017. My name is Stuart Clark.
My name is Derek Silva.
Thank you and be well.